Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, this Taanit daf Yud. We're going to begin on the very top of Yud Amud Aleph, top line. Eretz Yisrael nivris tchil b'chol olam kula nivro b'soif. Eretz Yisrael was first created, then afterwards the rest of the world. Shnemar adlu osa eretz b'chutzos. Furthermore, Eretz Yisrael mashka isa kadosh baruch hu ba'atzmo. Hashem causes the land of Israel to get water by himself. B'chol olam kula al yedei shliach. And the rest is through a shliach. The question is, how does this compare to the Gemara we saw in Daf Beis Amud Aleph, that Hashem provides matar? The key is in Hashem's hand. Ayin the Mefarsh and Shnemer Hanais and matar al pnei aretz v'sholech mayim al pnei chutzos. Furthermore, Eretz Yisrael shoysa megashamim. When it comes to Eretz Yisrael, it's rainwater. V'cholam kulo mitamsis. When it comes to all the other lands, it's basically from the leftovers of it. Shnemer hanoisin matar al pnei eretz v'gomer. Eretz Yisrael shayis t'chil b'cholam kulo b'soif. Eretz Yisrael gets water first, and then the rest of the world. Shnemer hanoisin matar al pnei eretz v'gomer. Mashal adam shemegabel asagvina. Just like a person who's making cheese. He takes the food, and then he leaves the liquid way, the leftovers for the end. So he starts off taking the oichel, he wants the best, which is comparable to giving to Eretz Yisrael. Omer mar, mimanting hein be'ovim minole. So we mentioned on yesterday's daf that there's a question, does the water come from above or from below? So he said if it comes from the ocean, it's salt water. So he said that because the clouds sweeten it to remove the salt. The question is, how do we see that in the pasuk? Rabbi Yitzchak b'Yosef, Rabbi Yochanan ksiv, chashchas mayim avishchokim. Chashchas mayim, the darkness of the water. Ksiv, chashras mayim avishchokim, the sieve of water. So shakul kaf, we can take the letter kaf, ushadei a resh, and you throw in the resh, v'kari be chash sharas, which means it prepares. In other words, the clouds cause above the salty water to be prepared. Yeshua bahani krai my darish bahu. What does he do with this psukim? Because he doesn't say that it comes from the ocean. So Savol kiha dechiasa rabdimi omer amri b'marava. They say in Eretz Yisrael that nahara nani zeirin moihi, that the visible cloud, says Rashi, mishanan kolish. If you have a thin cloud, zeirin mimoihi machlal choshech. It comes from this darkness. Sagian atalamid avul nahar zeirin. If it's light, the chashras. Lashon hashara kamo ein sharin dioi. Okay, so that's what they say. Nahar anani, that if the cloud is visible, zeirin mohi. Chashach anani, if the clouds are dark, then sagin mohi, then there'll be a lot of water. So again, if you can see through the clouds, then it shows there's probably not a lot of water, not a lot of rain. If they're very thick clouds, it means a lot of rain is going to come. Come on, also hadatanya. The upper waters, the mamarheim tuluyim, they're hanging by Hashem's word. Uperisehen megashamim, and their fruits are rainwater. Shenemar mepri masecha tispa aretz. Come on, Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua, hahuba ma'isa yadav shel baruch hu d'chsev. As we ended up saying above, this is referring to the handiwork of Hashem. Amr Rabbi Shimon Levi, kol olam kulo mitamsis, Gan Eden hu shaisa. Then from Gan Eden it drinks. Shnemar v'nahar yotzim Eden, that the river comes from Eden. So Eden is the primary liquid water source. Tana mitamsis base core shaisa tarkav. From base core, it's able to drink up a tarkav. Again, these are different measurements. Says Rashi, kli hamashkin, this vessel for liquid, b'mimeya base core. Its water is able to water a base core. Yechol lahashkos. Fine. Tanrabanan. Eretz Mitzrayim havi dal meas parsal dal meas parsa. It's 400 by 400 parsangs. V'hu echa mishishim b'kush. which is 1/60th of the land of Cush, which is usually translated as Ethiopia. The Cush Echad Meshishim Ba'olam, and Ethiopia is 1/60th of the world. V'olam Echad Meshishim Gan. The world's the 60th of Gan. V'Gan Echad Meshishim L'Eden, because Gan and Eden are two separate places. Eden Echad Masavach Gehenim. Nimsa Kol Olam Kulu Kikisa Kederu Gehenim, which means that the entire world is actually very, very small in measurement to Gehenim, to hell. V'yeshomer Gehenim Ein Lo Shir. Some people say that Gehenim has no measurement. Now, exactly what does that mean? Is it physically it has no shear? So you have to maybe think about this expression. Also, Gehenim is representative of a person who does things wrong. There's no measurement for that. A person has no boundaries. When they sin, they can't control themselves. They become out of control and have these sinful, addictive traits. So that's Ein Lo Shir. Some say the other way around. It's heaven that doesn't have a shear, because if you do the right thing, it's also could be contagious. What does the pasuk mean when it says Shochanta Mayim Rabim, that it lays on these many waters? Rabas Oitzares. So Migarim Mababa Shehu Oitzareha Maleos Bar. What causes its land to produce to produce as it does? Havi Omer Mipnei Sheshaychenes Al Mayim Ram, because it dwells by water. Obviously, because if it's near water, that's its lifeline. Amarav Atira Bavel, the wealth of Bavel, the Chatzta, was a reap when they reap grain. Bulo Mitra without rain. When they reap grain without rain. Rabbi Nikatinon, that we have the tradition that Tavyani v'lo Yuvshani, that it's a swampy place and not a dry area. Okay, let's see if there's a Rashi on this. Fine. Let's look before we see the next Mishnah. Rashi says over here, "Bebavel should begoyla mitash ein asrichim l'gisham." It doesn't need rain. In Shualin, okay, we didn't get up to that. Okay, let's see the next Mishnah. Begimel b'marcheshvan. So on the third of Marcheshvan, Shonas Gisham, and that's when we start asking for rain. Rabbi Gamliel Eimer b'Shiva boy. On the 7th. Why the 7th of Marcheshvan? That's Tesvav Yom Achar Achag. 15 days after Sukkot, Kadesh Yegiach Chorin Shebisrael Onar Pras. So people that are oil or regal will be able to get to the Euphrates. Rabbi Lazar. Halacha Rabbi Gamliel. Halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, that you start saying Mesein Tal Matar Levracha on the 7th of Marcheshvan. Tani Chananya Oimer V'Goyla Ad Shisha B'Tekufa. Outside of Eretz Yisrael, it's 60 days after the Tekufa. So that's where Tekufa is based on the sun, right? It's a season. So 60 days after that is December 4th. Even though it's really not, but there was a change in the Julian, the Gregorian calendars, which caused the dates to get to December 4th. Amar Huna Barchia. Shmuel halacha chachananya. Heini v'haba minim Shmuel me'masmad kirin v'ten talamater. When do you start doing that? So Amalhu mechimayli sive lebe tavus rishba. When they start bringing in this wood from these hunters. Says Rashi, they bring the wood in to the storage house for the rain. That was their custom. They couldn't chop wood anymore in the forest. So maybe it's the same measurement. Is it Kalifnei Shishim, says Rashi? We don't mention on the 60th, or it's Kaliachar Umad Karinan. So do we actually mention on the 60th or not? So Tashma. So come in here, Rav Oimer Yom Shishim is Kalyacher Shishim. It's like afterwards, which means we'll start saying Mashim Baruch Hashem on 60 days past Tekufa. Shmuel Omer Yom Shishim Kulifnei Shishim. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak v'Simonech, to remember this, Eloi Bo Maya Tatoilo Boy Maya. The upper ones need water, right? Those like on the top of a mountain. And those on the bottom, Lo Boy Maya, they do not need water. So what does that mean? So now we look in Rashi. Rav lived in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, Gavoy Mikol Ratzos. It was above all other places, and therefore they needed water. And that's the reason why Rav is of the opinion that's Kol Yachashishim, that you already start saying it on the 60th day. However, according to the other opinion of Shmuel, he was in Bavel. Bavel says Rashi begoyel mitashen esrichim b'sham. They don't need rain in Sham ad samach tekufas Tishrei, 6 days after the tekufa of Tishrei. V'chein anu nohagim shikoyel min hagenu acher b'nei Bavel. Our minhag goes after Bavel. So this is one of the interesting phenomena, that because in Iraq with Bavel is how they would start b'sein Talmud Avracha, so do we. So that is the halacha. And then the last piece of this Gemara says, Omar Papa Hilchas Yom Shishim Koyacha Shishim. So you start saying it then on the 60th day after Tekufas Tishrei. So let's look at question 13. So in Eretz Yisrael on the 7th of Mar Cheshvan, in the Goylam Yom Samech Tekufas Tishrei, 6 days after Tekufas Tishrei. Next Mishnah. Hagi Yud Zayin B'Mar Cheshvan. So hopefully we've gotten some rain. Let's say it's the 17th of Mar Cheshvan, it didn't rain yet. The individuals come out. We're going to say the Chachamim. Masanin Gimel Ta'anias. They fast 3 fasts. They're not 24-hour fasts. It's only from sunrise to sunset. In Mutar b'Malacha, they could work during those days. Rechitza and bathe. B'sicha v'nil sasana v'tasha shemita. All the inuyim that are forbidden on Yom Kippur are mutter on the first set. Hagir Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Let's say it still hasn't rained. So based in Geis and Shosh Tanias al Tzibor. Now it's not just on the individuals that Tzibor does it. Still, they can eat at night. So all those restrictions still do not apply. The only difference is it's not just on the Yachid, but now it's on the Tzibor. So more as man yichidim. So Rav Huna Rabbanim. Yom Rav Huna yichidim misan and shloisha tarniyos. They fast 3 fasts. Sheni v'chamishi v'sheni, which is Bahab, Monday, Thursday, Monday. So my kamashmal on Tanina and Gerzun Tainis al Tzibur b'tchil b'chamishi. We know that you don't start on a Thursday. Sholaf giyas asharim, because we don't want to start causing the raising of prices. We already know this. If you look at Rashi, it says, you end up having to buy 2 meals, 2 sudas gedolos, achad l'tainis, nech l'shabbos. Because you have to buy so much food all in one shot, it looks like you're filling up your carriage because you're hungry, and also because you're going shopping for Shabbos. So, but it looks like that there is maybe a hurricane. Everyone's running to the supermarket to get their toilet paper or whatever it is. So, and all the other necessities. So because of that, we don't start on Thursday. So this way, we don't have them artificially raise prices, cause again a hardship for the consumer. So the question is, where do you know this? So Madatema says, maybe the whole issue is by Tzibur, because so many people are fasting. It would say just a few individuals, it shouldn't make any difference. They also start on Monday. Tani namihachi. They start on a Monday. However, if it's Rosh Chodesh, they're mafsek, says Rashi. If let's say Rosh Chodesh falls out on Monday or Thursday, so they will stop. They're not going to fast in that situation. So again, it's a shows it's not a very strict fast, as we continue to Yud Beis. Again, v'yomim toivim haksumim megillas Taanit. Anything that's written there, so they don't fast. Taraban. Al yomer adam talmud ani. A person should say, I'm a student. Any royal yoshachid. I'm not really fit to fall under the category of a chacham. As the Rabbanan, I'm a student. I'm a young guy. What do I know? Ela kol tamid chachamim yichidim. All tamid chachamim can fall into the category of yichidim. They should fast. So ezehu yachid ezehu talmud. Yachid is kol sharoy lem noisai parnas al tzibor. It's anyone. It's fit that the tzibor should support them for their studies. Talmud kol shashon noisai davar halacha bilmudai b'yom rafil masechta dekala. If you ask them something in something that they're learning and they're able to answer it, that's a Talmud. That's already a higher level. Fine. So again, if you're learning a particular subject, I'm learning the first parak of Masechtas Taanit. So if someone asks me a question on the Gemara, I'll know the answer. I've at least elevated myself to the status of a Talmud. Not necessarily above that, because the next level is anywhere they can ask you a question. Tonabanan. Not that you're supposed to ask them unless they're involved in that particular sugya, as the Gemara elsewhere says. Not everyone who wants to be a yachid should do so. Talmud oisa. You can make yourself into a Talmud. Dibra Meir. Rabbi Yosi Omer oisa v'zachla tayiv. No, you can make yourself into a yachid. If you shein shevachuloi el tsarhulo. This is not gaiva. This is not yehura, because you're not doing it to show off and to say, look how great I am. Rather, it's sar. You're just causing pain that you're not eating. Tani idach. Local rights alasos atzmi yachid oisa talmud alisa. Divi Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. You're not allowed to just say you're this type of person. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer b'med v'or mamurim b'davar shel shavach. One of them was just going to praise that it looks very impressive. B'davar shel tsar oisa. V'sachol atayim shin shavach ulay el tsar hulo. It's not something other than SAR, so therefore you're allowed to do this, even though you may not necessarily be so scholarly. Still, you're allowed to fall under the category of Yechidim. Tanurban. Let's say someone who accepted upon themselves a fast, says Rashi, Misano Mashlim, to complete the fast. V'im lav, if he doesn't finish it, nira masna im kaina, he looks like he's making a condition with Hashem. Im tavor, if it passes, loy, look on the side, lo asnan, I'm not going to fast. V'im lav asnana, if it doesn't, the tsar anguish or issue doesn't take place, then I'll continue my fast. So mishu masana latsar ba'avra al chayla v'nirpa. Or let's say someone who's sick and he's healed, harizeh misanu mashim. You still have to complete it, because again, otherwise it just looks like very insincere. Let's say you go to a place where they're not fasting, to a place where they are fasting. So midway through the day, you come across a city where people are fasting. So harizeh misana imahen. You should join them now in fasting. Let's say you're going to a place now where no one's fasting, even though you started off in a place where they are fasting. You should still complete it. So in other words, in either situation, either you came or you're going to a place that they're fasting, you should also fast. Let's say a person forgot and they broke their fast. Person should not basically look bad in front of the tzibor, and you shouldn't engage in delicacies by yourself. Shnamar v'yomi Yaakov levanav, he said to his kids, Lama tisra'u, why are you visible? In other words, if you violated it, it doesn't mean you should continue to eat, right? Fine. Omer lahem Yaakov levanav al taru atzmachem kishiatim seveim. Don't show yourself when you're satiated. I don't want them to be jealous. So, especially if it's a time in which there was a famine, which is what Yaakov was talking to his kids, and you happen to have food, so don't flaunt the fact that you have had food and that you act full, because it's going to get other people jealous. So the Gemara elsewhere quotes this pasuk that you're not supposed to tarry on the road. So Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Lahem, Yosef le'echav. So Yosef is saying to his brothers, "Al tisask v'davar halacha. Don't engage in deep halachic thought. Shema tirguzu aleichem haderech. Maybe you'll end up getting stumbling on the road. You may get lost, and also there could have been bandits on the road that could attack you if you're not paying attention. Any fact, it's not so. You tell me not to learn. V'yomer Rabbi Eloi bar Barachia. If let's say you have two people that are walking without divrei Torah, roin l'sarif, it's fit to be burnt up. Shnemar v'hi hema hoilchin v'daber v'hi. They're going and speaking. Tini rechev eish v'suse eish. There was this fire, v'afridu ben shnehem, and separated between the two of them. So taima diika dibor, haleka dibor ruin l'sarif. The only reason why is that there is some speech. If there was no speech, ruin l'sarif, they should be burnt up. So the question is, how do we understand this? That Yaakov advised his kids, Yosef rather advised his brothers, don't engage in Torah. What do you mean? They're chachamim on the road. They should learn Torah. Lukasha hala migris hali nuye. This answers in numerous places. For example, also, should you learn Torah in a sukkah or out of the sukkah? So it gives the same, over there learns the same answer. If it's inui, something in depth, so then don't do that. But if it's something which is just like repetition, it says miboile beorta of a bemilsa de boile inui lo, something in which miboile beorcha, that's something which you should learn, something which is easy and something which you've learned before, so that you could engage in, and you should. However, if it's something be'in, you shouldn't. But masnisa tana al tafsiu psia gasa. He says that you shouldn't take large steps. Dachnisu cham la'ir, and when you enter into the heat into the city, al tafsiu psia gasa. Again, don't take large steps. The Amar psia gasa netelos echem echamish meyos mimor eino shel adam. It takes away 1/500th of the eyesight of a person. So by taking big steps, it causes you literally to go blind. You should always go out. This is the very beginning of Masechtas Pesachim, while it's still light outside, which is called b'chitoiv, when it's good. You should also make sure you get to your next destination while it's light out. One is traveling. You should not eat more than the amount of people who are ravoin of a fast. So my time, hacha targimu mishum mayana, says Rashi, shalo is chalchalu, that it won't digest meyav in your stomach shaladam berova chilasim in tarech derech, because you're so busy traveling, so your body's not able to digest the food properly. So therefore, a person should not eat a massive amount of food, because it'll end up making your stomach quite upset. So again, hamahalach b'derech el yoch yos mishnei ravoin. So my time hacha targimi mishum mayana. B'm ravo emer mishum zayni. What does that mean? It says Rashi, shema'ein lo lachakach. If you eat too much now, you're going to finish all your provisions. So you should save as much as possible so that you'll have for later on. So therefore, you should minimize how much food you eat on the road, because you don't know how long you're going to be on the road. Fine. So, my binai, what's the nafkamina if it's because, as we said, of mishumayana, that it'll hurt your stomach, or the second answer is because you'll run out of food. So, ikbinayu, as we continue on Yud Aleph and Aleph, the Yosef Arba, person is sitting on a boat, says Rashi. Shayach basfina mishum zayni ika, mishum ayana leika. If there's an issue about mizayni, how much food, so that is a legitimate issue. But since you're not traveling, it's not going to hurt your stomach as much. Inami dekazal me avna avna, that you're going. It says Rashi makom Moloin hamatargim mikfar lekfar. You're going from, let's say, village to village. There's tons of food everywhere. You don't have to worry about the food because there's so much from, if you're traveling, you're going to get to the next location. There's always another city. There's always a gas station. There's always a 7-Eleven. So you don't have to worry about running out of food, but you could worry about the issue of an upset stomach. Okay, let's see question 14. So 2 answers. Either al tisktu b'davar halacha, that you shouldn't engage in deep halachic matters, or al tafsiu b'siagasa, don't take big steps, v'achnisu cham la'ir. And also you should make sure to go while it is still light outside. That was question 14. Let's see. Question 421. Hahoylech l'makam shein mesanin, l'makam shemesanin v'shachach v'achal, ezu chumer sarach linhoik. So what customs should you follow? Question 4. Al yisra'eh b'fnei tzibor, al yinhag idunim ba'atzmo. So a person, again, should not be seen in front of the tzibor, and because it looks like you're full. And also, you should not engage in eating more delicacies. Basically, what that means is that even though you made a mistake and you ended up eating, so that's okay, but that doesn't give you an excuse to continue to do so. And therefore, you have to stop. Okay. That was question 4. Now let's look at TA 28. I'm not sure if we're going to get to this. So he said, if let's say you fasted, and the reason why you're fasting is to help someone. So he said, let's say they were cured. So in that situation, you have to continue fasting. So too, if a person died, sarach lahashlim, you have to fast. The im lo, because if you don't, nira masna im kainai. Looks like you're making a condition with Hashem. Im tabur hatzara esana v'im lo esana. So as we saw before, that otherwise you're going to end up saying, okay, God, I'll do this if you do this for me. But if you're not going to help me, forget it. I'm going to quit fasting. So therefore, you have to continue and finish your fast. Ad kan.